So we have our AC power. These two wires, it doesn't matter which you do, neutral or live, you can flip-flop them either way. And then number 3 is your ground. This was already wired, this is wired to the board. And then you have your upstream and downstream side. If you look at the panel, you see upstream, upstream ground, downstream, downstream ground. So we already know this is upstream because of this label. So terminals 1 and 2, 2 is ground and 4 is ground. Okay, so now I'm going to power this on. So we're going to go ahead and program it. Press mode twice, code is 100. Set. So measure is the first one that comes up. We don't want to measure, we want to go to settings. So there's settings, set. So first one we set is full scale. This is a 5-inch pipe, so we want to choose a full scale that relates to the pipe size. So for example, if you had a 1-inch pipe, you don't want something, 1,000 gallons a minute, it's not capable. So we set it for 550. That should be okay for this size. If you wanted to change it, you just arrow over and change the parameter you want. Set. You have to hit set twice. Alright, the next one, rate unit. Mine's GPM, but you can choose a variety of different ones. Set twice. Next one is pipe OD. I measured mine. It's 141 millimeters. This is very critical, so the closer you get, the better. Tape measure is close, but if you can use some dial calipers or something to figure out what it is, it's the nominal. And then convert that over to millimeters, so divide by 25.4. And you change it the same way you did all the other settings. Material, this is stainless steel. But you have a choice of regular steel, others PVC. Wall thickness, also very important. If you have scale or rust build up, it's kind of hard to compensate, but probably err on the larger side. Ours is a little over 3 millimeters. If you have a pipe already uninstalled, you can measure it that way. But this is critical. If it's too thin or too thick, it's the speed of sound is not going to enter the pipe correctly. Lining, this doesn't have a lining, so none. Oops. The setup sensor, you can do the V or Z configuration, but due to the size, I think it's 6-inch or under, you can use the V configuration. Fluid type, this is water. You can choose others in the manual. They explain the speed of sound values for other fluids. So once you do that, this value is very important. 104.2 millimeters, that's the distance between the sensor heads. So we use the dial caliper, convert it to inches. So I think we're right at 4.1 is what that came out to. So you want to make sure this is 4.1 inches. That matches the spacing that it gave you. And when you set that up, you can just crimp them down on the rods to set the spacing. Reverse flow, we're not interested in reverse flow. If you were reading backwards or reverse flow, it'll read a negative value. Digital out, so pulse output, we're not using that, but you could set for pulse. The pulse width. Dampening is kind of like an averaging, so if it's reading sporadic, you can average it out so the values don't jump as much. Low flow cutoff, if it's reading when the pump is off, you can tell it to ignore a percentage of full scale, so 10% of 550, so 55 gallons a minute and under, it would ignore it as 0. You can select if you want an analog out. Now we're back to the main. So we want to go back to reading or measurement. So we're going to hit mode. And then set. We want flow rate. We have a choice of velocity or flow rate. We want flow rate. So now it's ready. Also, we want to put some lube on these sensors. So just a little bit. You don't want too much because then it's not going to read. Just kind of wipe it down. So next up, we'll get it clamped and measuring and see how it works.